Happy Casual Wine Geek Wednesday.
It's a Wines Day. That was a bottle of a thing that we'll talk about later.
You're welcome.
You have no idea what you're in for. Or maybe you do, and that's why you keep coming back. God bless you.
Welcome to the Casual Wine Geeks weekly podcast on wine.
Yeah, we're back with a vengeance.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Amanda.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi, yeah, thanks for being here. Y'all are awesome.
Thanks for listening to our little diatribe, our weekly wine diatribe.
Yeah,
Wine-a-tribe?
Yeah, a wine-a-tribe, if you will. Tribe of winos. That works.
What's our topic today, Brandon?
Well, you know the first time that I saw you? You know that first time? Do you remember what you said? Do you remember?
No.
Well, you had me at Merlot, girl. You had me at Merlot. Because the puns don't stop.
Yeah. So we're talking about Merlot today. You had me at Merlot.
Which, surprisingly, we were supposed to talk about literally weeks ago.
Months and months ago.
That was the death of our previous recording equipment. So I didn't have to do any research because I already had my research.
Perfect. Yeah, that's right. This you had me at Merlot. We drank the bottles because we got in and then
which is too bad because I had a bottle of sparkling Merlot.
I looked all over for sparkling Merlot.
Oh, it was so good.
It was so good. Yeah.
Someday again, we'll do like weird one-off sparkling things.
Yeah, let's do it. Sparkling Vouvray.
Because
Nom.
Oh man.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think I had 2 bottles of sparkling Vouvray that I brought over for Christmas.
Yeah, we had brunch.
We had brunch Christmas morning, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was so fun.
That was really good.
I really have been dreaming about that pesto casserole I made the other morning. Everybody, I made the most amazing overnight breakfast casserole.
Yeah, this is definitely part of the housekeeping. You have to tell your recipe because it was so good.
Oh, we'll post it on the Patreon thing.
Oh, we will? Okay.
Yeah.
And
well, I have to rewrite the so here's the thing. I don't actually follow recipes. I will find anything I want.
Yeah.
Read all of the comments.
Yeah.
Because if someone's like, oh, I feel like the acid could have been this way, or the salt could have been this way, or we could have done this thing, or we could have done that thing. Because I as opposed to, if you're going to leave a comment on a recipe, make the recipe and then leave the comment. Don't just say, that looks delicious.
Yeah, that's
that
not
looks
helpful.
Amazing. Garbage. That is a garbage comment.
Your casserole had pesto in it.
I made my own pesto.
Yeah.
If you don't toast your pine nuts, then don't talk to me. Toast them.
And it had goat cheese in it, and it had prosciutto in it, and it had eggs in it, and it had toasty bread.
Yeah, the bread I used was, so technically I guess was a strata, but I soaked it, I did everything the night before and then popped it in the oven in the morning.
It was so
But
good.
I did English muffins that I tore into little
right.
chunks and then toasted them with like a garlic butter.
It was crazy good. It was crazy good.
It was pretty tasty.
Yeah, with champagne. And then cider. We had cider afterwards.
Oh, that's right. Oh, those ciders were very good. Dragon's Head cider over in Vashon.
On Vashon. Yeah, Dragon's Head it was really good. And it was like the perfect pair with the breakfast casserole.
Mm-hmm. It was really tasty. Yeah, I'll put the recipe up because I do like to eat. Let's be honest.
And I like to drink, and that's why we're friends.
Food and wine. The end. Not sorry. Not even a little bit.
May I have the little towel because I schlupped.
Oh yeah, we've got a. It's a crisis. Don't worry, crisis is averted. Calm down, everybody. It's all okay. So you brought a Washington Merlot.
I did.
From our friends down at Nine Hats.
Yeah. So Nine Hats has a tasting room at the Soto Industrial Park with roti and curlew and sleight of hand, and
Schooner Exact Brewing is down there. A lot of structure,
mm-hmm.
waters. There's some awesome stuff down there. It's nice because it's all, I feel like, stylistically very different.
Yep. And there's food down there, and there's parking down there. And
oh yeah,
you don't
the
have
pizza is there's a great new pizza shop that's super tasty. They have nice crust.
You don't have to like haul your ass all the way to Woodinville.
No, it's real close.
Yeah. Not saying that Woodinville isn't great. It is great, but it can be really far away if you're wanting to go tasting and there's traffic.
Well,
That's 40 minutes, you know?
Oh, for sure. And then you're drinking, and then, you know, what I like about being down in Soto or even other places in Seattle for tasting, home is just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah.
You know?
10 minutes.
Safety first, friends.
Safety first. Yeah, so this is a classic Washington Merlot, and I think Washington does great Merlot.
I would agree with you. I think we grow some of the best Merlot outside of France, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I agree. And you know my feelings about Washington State.
Well, and so here's what I like about this, though, is this has a really interesting, like, dusty, powdery tannin to it. It feels very old world. It doesn't feel like...
It's not a fruit bomb.
Yeah, which is what I don't love so much about Washington sometimes. I feel like a lot of times it's very fruit focused and not...
Yeah, this is deliciously balanced. And I bought it thinking it was 100% Merlot because it says Merlot right on the front.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah. You want to talk about it now?
So we opened it earlier so that it could breathe for a second, and I was reading the back because you should always read the back label because you can find some interesting nuggets of information, such as... So Nine Hats Winery was inspired by the 9 internationally... hold on, it's not close enough. My glasses are terrible. The 9 internationally acclaimed winemakers who created the Long Shadows portfolio of world-class wine. So if you're familiar with awesome people in Washington, Long Shadows is where it's at.
Yep.
So this wine offers classic Merlot flavors and aromas of ripe plum, blueberry, and bittersweet chocolate that persist across a silky finish. A touch of Cabernet Franc adds a wonderful richness and complexity. And so when I said, oh, well, that makes sense because it smells this way, it makes sense that there's going to be Cabernet Franc in there, and I would guess roughly like 8 to 10%.
Yeah, because what's the law in Washington State? You can put Merlot on the front label and still have up to, 15% of another grape?
I think it's 25.
Oh, really?
I think so.
There's
don't tell any of my professors that I don't remember.
There's a bunch of rules, and it's either like 15 or 25% depending on what it is, and I can't remember, but that's okay. I haven't been in school for a while.
I'm gonna look it up.
You are. I was just gonna ask. We have an agenda for the first time on our podcast today.
Oh, yeah.
We're
we're trying to get our shit together.
I am now on the same page that Brandon is on, so I'm very excited.
What do you mean under construction? You motherfuckers. I'll find it later and I'll post it, but I think it's 25%.
I am not disappointed at all that there's Cabernet Franc in this wine.
Yeah, me neither. So that's an interesting thing to kind of lead us into. One of the most famous places where Merlot comes from is Bordeaux in France. Yep. And so Merlot is really interesting. Where's my notes?
Your Merlot 101 notes?
My Merlot 101, because it's important to talk about, yeah.
So if you want access to notes, sign up to be a patron on Patreon. You can go to our website, casualwinegeeks.com, follow the link to support us on Patreon. We have a Patreon page, and every week on this podcast, we post Brandon's notes for what we talk about and fun, cool things.
Yeah, like and sometimes all the stuff that gets posted we didn't even touch on because I didn't have a way of figuring it into the conversation, or it's just a wonky thing that I found interesting, or it helps me to have a visual. So sometimes it's maps, sometimes it's diagrams,
pictures, and extra weird little tidbits.
Because I mean, you know, wine is inherently visual.
Yeah,
it's crosses all sensories. Sensories? What the fuck? I don't know. I'm tired, man.
It's okay. We're halfway there.
Are we living on our prayer?
Yeah, living on our prayer.
So Merlot, earliest recorded Merlot actually was recorded under the word Merlau, Merlau, which actually was in the notes of a local Bordeaux, like, kind of high up official. So in 1784, there was a wine that was labeled with a grape from the Libournais region, and it was kind of the best in the area. And so then in 1824, the word Merlot actually appeared in an article on Medoc wine. So it described that the grape was named after a local blackbird. Oh, interesting. It's Merlot in the local variant Occitan language. Merle, M-E-R-L-E, is the word in that, like, local dialect. So there was this bird that would eat the grapes off the vine, so that's why they called it Merlot. Yeah. It was one of those little
Interesting.
vineyard pests.
Weird.
Yeah, so other descriptions of the grape come from in the 19th century. There was a varietal called Le Sem du Fleuve, meaning the seedling from the river, and the grape is thought to have originated in one of the islands that are found along the Gironde River in Bordeaux.
I want to go to Bordeaux.
There's a goddamn wine museum. It's like Disneyland.
Really?
We should go there.
I'm taking French classes, and then we should go. That's how about that.
I'm into it.
Okay.
So by the 19th century, you had Merlot planted everywhere in the Medoc area, which is the left bank. So if you're looking at Bordeaux, there's a big river that kind of splits it in half. And you talk about left bank style and right bank style. So that has to do with the blends that you're dealing with. And so on the left bank, you have much more Merlot-driven wine, and it's much more blended on the right side of the river.
Got it. And one side of the river has like very, very expensive wines, and then
left
the other.
bank. Well, I mean, there's also expensive wines on the right bank as well.
Yeah, but it's like hoity-toity on one side, and it's like you can buy more affordable wines from the right.
So that's where you find like the chateau, like the
fancy schmancies.
Fancy crew classifications.
Yeah.
It's
where you go wine tasting in a suit and.
Yeah, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
We were at a wine thing last night with some friends, and it was really warm where we were, and I turned to one of them and I was like, I love you both very much, but I really want to be home on the couch in my underwear right now. Like, I don't have it in me to be fancy if I don't have to be.
You clean up real nice, though. You cleaned up real nice for our brunch.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I would just rather be comfortable. You know, not sorry about it.
Perfect.
So here's a fun little fact. So it was first recorded in Italy. Merlot. We're back to the subject at hand. Was first recorded in Italy around Venice under the synonym Bordeaux. Bordeaux with an accent. Mm-hmm. Bordeaux, like Bordeaux. So that was in 1855.
The Italian style.
Like, how many more times can I say Bordeaux? Bordeaux. Bordeaux. So the grape was introduced to the Swiss from Bordeaux sometime in the early 19th century and was recorded in the Swiss canton between 1905 and 1910. So by the 1990s, Merlot saw an upswing of popularity in the United States. You had a lot of red wine consumption, just kind of in general across the board, which...
When year was that? In
the 90s.
90s, yeah.
So there was this big...
Was that on the heels of that?
Are you going to say 60 Minutes?
60 Minutes?
That's, yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh. So there was this big 60 Minutes episode. Do you call them episodes? It was
like a segment. It was like 10 or 15. It was like a 10-minute
Yeah, on the
segment.
French Paradox is what it was called. And so this
and
is
it was
when
all
you...
about like heart disease or something?
Yeah, so this is when you saw a lot of the uptick of like, here are the healthy benefits of wine.
And why the French have healthier hearts.
Yeah.
They don't go into the fact that the French walk like
everywhere
15 miles a day,
which is easy to do in Paris because it's flat.
It's flat and you don't want to drive anywhere, so of course everybody's walking.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. You couldn't pay me to drive in Paris.
God,
First
no.
of all, the transit there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw some really gnarly metro stations, but hey,
we have gnarly metros. Well, the other thing is, like, the last time I was there, we were on a 5th floor walk up. If you're up and down from your room or your house or whatever, you're going up those
absolutely.
up and down stairs all the time.
Did you come and see our flat when we were in Paris?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we were also...
You were at what, 3rd floor?
3rd floor, but it was like... It was this weird... You walk into the first set of doors where it's part of an apartment, and then there's this weird courtyard.
Yep.
And then you go through another set of doors... Yep. And then up, and that place smelled. But I mean, it was a cheap place to stay. I don't think I'd stay in that neighborhood again.
Yeah, the neighborhood was a little rough.
There was some good food, though.
Oh, I would imagine.
There was some real good food. Cheapest sandwiches. They were so delicious.
Paris is flat, but you're up and down stairs all day.
Yeah, well, the area that we were in was on the back side of Sacré-Cœur, so... we were like a mile from where you guys were in Montmartre.
And Sacré-Cœur it was like kind of in the middle of us.
In between, yeah.
Yeah.
But to get to you, we had to go up and then down. And that hill is massive. Okay, so the French walk everywhere. So when in this 60 Minutes French paradox situation, they're talking about the chemical resveratrol,
Yeah.
which is what...
It's in the skins. Yeah.
And so you had this popularity of Merlot, partially... This is going to sound terrible. It's easy to say the word Merlot.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like you look at it and it's
Merlot.
well, that's a bar in Louisiana.
Merlot. Yeah. It's easy to say like a glass of Merlot, please.
And it's much softer, right? It appeals to many more audiences in terms of its accessibility. It's not as structured as Cab. It's not big and heavy, much softer fruit.
Yeah,
softer tannins.
A medium acid. It goes well with food. It's not going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
With dinner.
So in the 90s, researchers, our good friends at UC Davis,
here they come up all the time because we like them.
Someday I really want to go there.
Oh, we can drive there.
Oh,
it's not that far.
I'll be high on Dramamine, but okay.
Totally fine.
We have to take this work trip in a couple weeks, and we're all driving. Like it's like a 4-hour car ride, which doesn't sound like much, but I get terrible motion sick.
Yeah.
And
all the drugs.
Yeah. One of my bosses is like, "Oh, you can just ride with me," because they're trying to figure out who's going with who. And I was like, "I'm not. I hope you're not looking for a conversation, because I am going to be so hopped up on Dramamine that I will not. It's nope. Don't expect much." Because it makes me like unable to function, but also really sleepy.
Well, yeah. And we tried everything when we were on our trip to Italy. We tried everything.
Oh, I also have those
the little
bands
pressure point
with the
bands.
pressure point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will have a pocket of ginger. I've started making my own ginger tea at home because it's good for your tummy and it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the French paradox. Merlot.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We're getting back to it.
So basically this thing came out saying that the French are more healthy than people in the United States because they drink wine.
Right.
And they eat cheese.
And so it then led into the 90s when you started to get much more access to DNA profiling on a forensic level. Yeah.
And the other piece is too, the children of the people that were alive during Prohibition are now of drinking age. Now they're like, oh, I'm an adult. I can.
Oh,
right?
They're I would say farther than of drinking age. Like
they're in their like 30s, early 40s, where they're
children of people who were adults in Prohibition. That would be people who were born in like.
Did I math wrong?
Yeah, I think they're older than you think they are in the 90s. Oh, really?
Because I was thinking like my parents' age, right? They're like 30s,
that's at least 60.
40s.
They would have been at least 60 if they were children of the Prohibition.
Alcohol became kind of popular in the 70s, like wine, with all the Blue Nun, and then
you had an influx of like terrible Italian wine.
Terrible Italian wine, yes, and very sweet wine.
Yeah, and
that
which
was
is when
what,
you
late
saw
70s?
You saw that influx of like real cheap Lambrusco, which fucked the Lambrusco community over for a long time.
Yep.
And it's it's hard which is one of the reasons that you see a lot of DOC and DOCG laws and classifications, which we'll talk about
next episode. And
we try and talk about it because it's important anyway. To protect the quality of the product you're serving.
Yeah.
It's important to these people, and for good reason, I think, that.
What was the big jugs of wine, the red wine?
Carlo Rossi?
Yeah. What kind of wine is that? Just regular red gross wine?
Oh, well, they have every flavor.
Oh,
they have a Chablis flavor. They have a Burgundy flavor.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They have a Chianti flavor.
Gross. I was just trying to think like when in the social structure of America, we moved from like bad, cheap gallon jug bottles of wine to a nice bottle of Merlot.
I think it was always there. I think it just was the accessibility of those giant jugs. You could open them and they didn't taste great to begin with. So if they sat open for a couple days, it's not like you're going to notice them dipping in quality.
Yeah. And Oregon and Washington
Having
really
been
good.
a poor college student who was 21 once and drank a lot of those terrible things at the gas station because I didn't know any better. You know, and you just don't know any better.
Yeah. And then in
That's
the
why
90s,
we're here.
it
We're
was
here to
like
educate the children.
20 years or so after the Oregon and Washington wine community really got going.
Yeah.
So you would have wine that's local that you could pick out.
It's really interesting after I'd say like the mid 80s when you really saw this insurgence of quality. I mean, that's
quality wine.
You've got The Judgment of Paris.
Yeah.
You've got, you know, all of a sudden critical acclaim coming to the States.
Yep.
Because we're actually doing a thing that the world is paying attention to, whether they want to or not.
Yep.
You know, and that's neither here nor there. But so in the 90s, our friends at UC Davis were able to map that Merlot is an offspring of Cabernet Franc.
Oh, yes, the baby.
And is a half sibling of Carmenere, Malbec, and Cab Sauv. So it's interesting that all of these things are related because they all get blended together in Bordeaux.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carmenere, we'll do a whole episode on it, but, you know, quick 411, thought it was extinct, found it in South America, was one of the original Bordeaux grapes, mostly used for blending, like Petit Verdot. You don't see a lot of single varietal Petit Verdot. In Washington, you do, and there's some good ones, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've got all of these things that are all related, you know, because what grows together goes together.
Yep.
But the identity of the second parent of Merlot wasn't actually discovered until the late 2000s, where there was this obscure, unnamed varietal. They first sampled it in 1996 from vines growing in an abandoned vineyard in Brittany.
In Germany?
Yeah.
Germany?
Maybe.
Or is that in France?
It's back when lines weren't as clearly defined as they are now.
I'm an idiot.
Ask the Google machine. And so they were able to show by a DNA analysis that this was like the mother of Merlot.
This
random vine they found in an abandoned vineyard in Saint-Souillac in Brittany. So that grape later discovered in front of houses as a decorative vine in the villages of... I'm not even going to try to pronounce those. It was in the Pitou Chartens area. It was colloquially known as Madalena or Raison de Madeleine, due to its propensity to be fully ripe and ready to harvest around the 22nd of July, which happens to be the feast day of Mary Magdalene.
Oh, I typed in Britney and everything is Britney Spears.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Brittany, Northwest France.
Okay.
My apologies. Northwest France.
Okay.
Yeah, Brittany.
Perfect.
I want a map, but oh yeah. Okay, so it's like the little piece that sticks out right above Spain. The little piece of France that kind of like sticks out.
Yeah.
Right below Norway, I believe. I believe that's what that is.
Did you just say Norway?
Yeah, isn't that Norway? Right here?
Honey, that's these fair British Isles.
Oh.
Norway's not an island. Norway's connected to continental Europe.
Man.
Do you need some more wine, dear?
I do. In fact. Thank you. Wow, I am all over the map.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's a good day.
So this Merlot...
I'm like, Brittany's totally in Germany, right? Right below Norway.
It's okay. No worries. Isn't that Norway? No, dear. God. That's an island. Now, Norway has islands, but they are not in and of themselves an island.
And they're probably not right next to France either.
Nope.
God.
Not even close.
I am not this much of an idiot in normal
you're
life.
Fine. Calm down. It has been a week.
It's been a week.
Cheers me.
Cheers. What are we drinking?
So this actually is a Merlot that I brought from Sicily. This is Italian. 100% Merlot.
Wow.
The clay or the dirt, the soil that this comes from is really clay driven.
Yeah, you can taste it. Wow, this is amazing. It's very like cranberry.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Pomegranate.
So different than
real red fruit.
Yeah.
But it's got a chewy, like it hangs out in the back of your mouth.
It's like a if Starburst did a crab apple Starburst, It's kind of like got that chewy, like sweet sour.
Oh, I'm into
right?
where you're going with that.
Yeah. Like it,
I dig that.
It's kind of like that juicy, sweet sour.
And it's really well balanced, and there's a little bit of salinity, so it makes a difference when your vineyards are really close to salt water. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it really does.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and your soil composition, and the dirt in Sicily is pretty badass.
Can we talk about the sideways effect of Merlot?
Yeah,
because we talked about the French paradox, and we talked last week, a couple weeks ago, we talked about sideways in regards to Pinot and Pinot Noir, and Northern California, and the whole movie Sideways of them. I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot,
which is so interesting because I feel like as much as we don't want to admit that things impact us that we see in the media or in movies or television, because they're fiction. Right. And at your core that this is a piece of fiction.
Right. But it affects us because it gets into our psyche.
Well, and regardless of, so the data does not support the fact that Merlot sales really dropped. Like there's not, I mean, yes, people did pull some of their vines up, but But
Pinot increased in sales by, what did we say, 16 or 18%?
Yeah. But Merlot sales didn't really drop. It's just that Pinot sales increased.
I find it so interesting in that particular movie, and I know that you haven't seen it, right?
No.
So Paul Giamatti is the lead character, and he's like, I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot. But at the end of the movie, he's drinking this beautiful, like amazing bottle of Merlot at McDonald's out of a styrofoam cup. It's this like perfect, beautiful scene, and he's savoring it, and he's like having a moment with this wine when he's the character's like, I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot when they go wine tasting. So here's a thing that I have a hard time with. Like, well, okay, I have a hard time with a lot of things. Life in general, the public, people, children, other people's animals. The list goes on. Sorry. I think the list would be much shorter if you just said the things that you do, like wine, your dog,
my husband, and you.
Yeah.
My bestie. The list is small.
That's why we're friends.
Wine, your dog, your husband. That about sums it up. I think I have a hard time with people that really jump on this, I won't drink that, or I won't drink this. I had someone, I think I've told this story probably multiple times, but someone who came in and said, oh, I can't drink that, I'm allergic to Merlot.
Oh my God, I love that story.
No, you're not. Shut the fuck up. Like,
you told it like on one of the very, very first episodes, and it's hilarious. So if you're just joining, you need to tell this story again. If you haven't listened to the first episodes.
If you've already heard this, too fucking bad, skip forward 30 seconds.
You're going to listen to it again.
I used to work at this tasting room, and it was, Washington wine. We were at the north end of Pike Place Market. It was a super awesome spot. We had a great view of the water. And these people came in one day, and the Merlot that we made, I thought was delicious. I didn't love everything we did. We did a Semillon that I thought was kind of wonky, but our Pinot Gris was really good. And we had a Merlot that was also very good. And when you walk in somewhere and it's one thing if you're like, oh, I'm just only wanting to taste a couple things, like timing wise, whatever, like that's fine. You don't have to explain to me. But when you come in and you're like, really pissy about, I won't drink that. I won't drink that. No. Like, first of all,
you came to a wine tasting room.
I'm pouring you half an ounce of wine. Like, there's literally a bucket in front of you to dump it out if you don't like it. And that's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. They've been dead for years. And so this guy tried to say, oh, I can't drink that, I'm allergic to Merlot. Like, no,
you're not.
I don't buy it.
You're not allergic to Merlot.
I don't, as someone who has friends who have weird food allergies, like, I get it.
Yeah. We talked about your friend with the pineapple allergy. Yeah.
And I have a friend who, someone in their family is allergic to mango, and, it's just,
but
it is a thing. And
allergies are a big deal, but you're not allergic to Merlot.
No, I don't buy it.
Well, because it's related to, as we learned, all these other
grapes. Histamines and so it's not that related. Oh, I thought you were talking about the allergy.
Yeah. Like Merlot is related to Cabernet. It's related to
Malbec. It's related to Carmenere. It's related to,
right. So you'd have an allergy on all of those things.
And that's the thing. It's, in kind of dialing it back and talking about blends, just because something says it is a thing doesn't mean it's 100% that thing, unless it says it's 100%. And they can fill with different types of wine.
Yep.
Because maybe, your grapes got a little bit too ripe, or they were a little underripe, or there was something wrong with this, or there was something wrong with that. And you're trying to correct it by adding a different flavor or structure or type of wine versus like a chemical like Mega Purple or Red Number 40 or what the fuck ever. Oak dust.
You don't even want to know. Gross.
And so that was the thing. It's like, well, I can guarantee you that you've had Merlot and didn't know it, and you're clearly still here with us. So I don't
buy it.
You can just say you don't like it, and that's fine. I am here to judge you, but
I get paid to judge you and pour you wine.
I don't care if you don't like a thing. Like, I didn't make it. As long as you can intelligently speak about what you don't like, then I think that's.
It goes back to our rule, like if you like or don't like something, being able to give 3 reasons why is really helpful.
Mm-hmm. It also, I feel like, helps you like really think about why you don't or do like a thing. Like it stops that knee-jerk reaction of this is delicious.
Why? 3 reasons why.
Is it delicious because it's 11 p.m. and you've been drinking since 2 a.m. or that timing was wrong?
Inverse those.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I know that when I get to the end of the day of tasting, I start to think that everything tastes delicious.
Yeah.
Just because I've also tasted, a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Got to give that palate a break, man.
It's like a muscle.
One of the things I thought that was interesting when I was doing research for this whole Sideways effect was when Miles in Sideways says that it's not a survivor like Cabernet, which can just grow anywhere and thrive even when it's neglected. No, Pinot needs constant care and attention. The fact that it can only grow in these really specific little tucked away corners of the world. And I think Merlot is much more adaptable than people give it credit for.
I would say that Merlot is definitely more on the Cabernet adaptability side than the Pinot, like tucked away in these super little, Pinot growing areas.
Right. And I think after this movie, you saw a lot more accessible and approachable styles of wine.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it really kind of dialed down a little bit of the pretension around like, oh, well, if people think that this is just a stick in the mud, boring, obnoxious, stuffy for old people, old rich money type of wine, like let's not do that, and let's change the style and make it a little bit more approachable and accessible
for people, I think, for people like us who love wine and live on a budget. But
yeah,
still, I mean, we still buy wine, so it's just on the affordable scale. Rather, we don't buy $200-$300 bottles of wine.
Well, for this podcast or in general?
In general, on a regular.
Not on a regular basis, but I have some things that are.
Yeah, I think there's always an exception when you're a collector like we are. We're collectors of wine.
The giant bottle of Chianti that's half the size of me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're not opening that for.
That's 5 liters.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
We'll have been married for 3 years this year, and we're going to open it on our 15-year wedding anniversary. So we still have 12 more years.
Oh my gosh. I'm very excited.
I have a giant bottle of wine that I'll open in 12 years. Like there's a specific date.
Yeah, well, it's 5 liters.
But it's a Chianti Classico, and it's supposed to, when you have something in a larger format, they age better.
Yep.
If
you want to put something down, if you want to have it in your cellar, buy a Magnum.
Get that large format bottle, girl.
Yep, because you're not going to open it on a Tuesday. I mean, maybe, but the reality is
we have
most of the time. When I buy Magnums, those go down and they sit in the cellar for a while. And
it's a special occasion that you want to pull them out. Now, what I do appreciate is a Magnum or a double Magnum of rosé.
Oh, yeah. At a party?
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah. And you can find good rosé in those large formats for not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be super pricey and break the bank.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that when my sister's coming next week.
Well, you just ruined the surprise.
What?
Cork it.
What? What are you talking about?
Do you have any fun facts for me?
Well, do you want to...
Oh, we're not done with sideways effect.
I mean, it's just the sideways effect. I feel like it's been talked about. I just thought that it was interesting that, you know, there's this theory that you have this negative impact on how people are consuming Merlot, while also increasing how much they're drinking Pinot. But, you know, there wasn't this devastation that everybody seems to think. And it really is the positive impact on, you know, the Pinot market actually is greater than the negative impact on Merlot.
Oh, yeah.
So it only looks like Merlot was negatively impacted only because Pinot started to do so much better than it had been.
And it's probably just because it introduced people to more people to wine.
Right. And there's more than
people came into the, what is that called? They come into the
market.
Yeah.
So it just is a different approach of looking at what's happening in the market. It's because it's not just cause and effect as much as people like to think it is. Or it is cause and effect, but it's in a different way than how you're perceiving or how you're being given the information. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think sideways because it was received well. Excuse me. It was received well. It introduced people to an industry wine, and
right.
You know, how to go taste, how to speak about it, how to, like, all these things. It introduced way more people than just, you know, traditional marketing.
And so that's one thing I did find is that the movie really did actually appear to cause a general increase in overall wine consumption. Mm-hmm. So you have now shifted the sort of public opinion of a certain set of people, mm-hmm. right? A certain income level or a certain generation or a certain age, or, you know, pick any of those things, or a cross of all those things. Mm-hmm. And you really, I mean, similar to the French paradox, right?
Yep.
Like you have this piece of media that has now neither positively or negatively affected how a generation views and then consumes a beverage.
Yeah.
I think it's super fascinating.
I love sociology and marketing and how those two things intertwine.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this a little bit, but taking, you know, fiction, basically movies and television and what have you. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that it's whether or not Merlot sales dropped, we're still talking about it.
Yeah. 20 years later,
you know, and it's still relevant, and it's still, and as more people are more interested and more have more access to information,
yep,
A, in how much they want to get, and B, how that information is presented, I think makes a difference in terms of, like, we're, you know, cocktail culture, beer culture, wine culture, like all of these things are now becoming sort of part of the everyday vernacular for a lot of people in our age range, I think. And so you see a lot of articles about how, you know, millennials are changing wine buying practices. Millennials are changing beer buying practices, you know.
There's a whole cocktail
technically
culture that's
I'm a
taking over
millennial, but I don't feel like it because I'm at the very beginning.
Oh.
It started in 83. But, you know, do I feel the same as some kid who was born in 93? Like, absolutely not. We have totally different perspectives because I grew up at the beginning of what makes you a millennial.
And you grew up, I think this also makes a difference. You grew up in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Probably without an internet access at all.
Not until I want to say like my sophomore year of high school.
Right. So, and I think
maybe
if you were to look at, and this is a whole different conversation, but I like to sidetrack. I think if you were to look at what makes a millennial is they don't remember not having internet.
Right. And I remember when DVDs were introduced.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember no cell phones.
I remember when CDs became a thing. It's, you know, it's like,
yeah.
I remember I saw a thing on Facebook not too long ago that was like a picture of a cassette and then like a pencil or a pen cap in the thing that you have to use to wind.
Yep. The cassette to rewind it, or if the tape came out or whatever. Yeah.
Man,
crazy.
We're old. And not even that old.
Nothing makes me feel older than thinking about I am older than the internet. Like, I was alive for a long time before the internet was a thing.
Goodness.
Yeah, I know.
Put us in a museum. Ugh. And now look at us dominating the internet corner with a little bit of wine. All right, here's some Merlot facts. Merlot is the second most planted grape in the entire world.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the first most planted?
Guess.
Chardonnay.
No.
Really? Cab?
Yeah, it's Cab. Merlot is the most planted varietal in Bordeaux. Cab Franc is the father that we know, but the mother is the Magdalene, thanks to DNA testing and our friends at UC Davis. Merlot translates to the little blackbird, like we already talked about that in a regional French dialect. Do you want to guess what the most expensive bottle of Merlot is?
Sure. Is it a regular bottle? $7.50?
Yeah.
Does it come from France?
It does. You have 18 more questions.
Is it from Bordeaux?
It is.
Is it from the left bank?
I think so.
Is it from the 40s or 50s?
I don't actually have
to?
a date on it. So it's Petrus. It's Pomerol. One of the most sought after and expensive wines in the world.
You don't have a year?
Not for this one, but it has an average score of 96 and an average price of $2,860.
Yeah, I was going to say either $2,500 to $3,000 for a bottle.
And then
Pomerol. Yeah, they do like second and third labels, and you can get a nice bottle for, I don't know, $30 off their second label or third label.
Yeah, so this Bordeaux wine can run you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a bottle. Bam.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's bananas. Bananas.
Here's I've never tasted a bottle of wine that was $5,000. I'd like to taste it just to see if it, like, what's the difference? I want to know.
You're using wine as currency at that point, girl. Like, you're not going to enjoy it.
I know we've talked about this, but I want to taste it because as a wine professional, I want to taste something like that to see if there's actually a difference or if it's just all hype. You know? Have you ever tasted a bottle that's
that
like
fancy?
$5,000 a bottle?
No. And I don't think I need to.
I'd be interested. I'm curious. That's where it is.
Let me know how you enjoy that.
I would like to do a blind tasting actually, with something fancy and with something affordable, and see if I can actually A, pick it out, and B, if there's actual a difference.
That's legit.
Yeah. Right, of course.
Hey, someone go buy us a $5,000 bottle of wine and we'll review it.
Yeah, I'll give you an address. You can send it.
We'll send you a cute wine bag and a sticker.
Yeah. We're sending out, I got a whole stack of stuff that needs to go to the post for people that are waiting. It's on its way.
En route.
Yep.
Friends. En route.
You have anything else for me?
That's kind of it. Everything else will be up. It's,
Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
CasualWineGeeks.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can always email us, info@CasualWineGeeks.com.
We're trying to be better about responding to things. Hi. Sorry.
We read it and then...
I am terrible because I do that thing where like I'll read a thing and like we'll formulate the response in my head and then not just follow through with it.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh shit, 2 days later I'm like, I didn't respond to that person.
Or 2 months later, like, oopsies.
Sorry, friends. So if you've emailed, if you've questioned and we never responded.
We did respond in our minds.
Well, I mean, with actual physical anything.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Hey, just send that question again via the Instagram.
Yeah.
Send us an email.
Sure.
Poke us on the Facebook.
On the Facebook.
And I'm that person that says the Facebook. God damn it. I'm sorry.
It's perfect.
No, I'm not.
We love you. Thank you for listening to us.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Merlot. It's delicious.
You had me at Merlot.
You had me at Merlot. And you can find Merlot from some real awesome places. This Italian Merlot is real good.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's real good.
It wins today, I think.
It's
a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. I like the 9 Hats.
I like the Nine Hats too.
I like Washington Merlot because it's that like higher elevation, cooler climate.
Yeah, they're different flavor profiles.
Oh, for sure. And this is a rocky island in the middle of the Mediterranean, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I just like that one because I want to go drink it there.
Oh, can we?
Right?
I wish.
I'm
I
ready.
wish. Okay.
All right.
Just put that anywhere. She's throwing pens. She's going to flip the table over, save the wine.
Thanks for listening.
And always take 2 bottles.
Bye.
Ciao.